I think that if you look at our results for the last quarter, what's very impressive to ourselves is that we have been able to grow our revenue by more than 30% year over year. And this is the fourth consecutive quarter which achieved year over year growth. I mean, obviously, we start delivering our EV for the first quarter ever, and that brings us an additional revenue stream. But even if you take that EV revenue off, we're still growing our core business by more than 20% year over year. And I think that really shows that we have been able to, grow our business steadily despite the overall challenging economics market and markets overall.
And one of the things that's really been highlighted out of it is the gross profit margins, which again have been solid across the company. But the EV sector in particular, I think you achieved around 15.4%. Was that your expectation? And where are you expecting that to trend over the rest of the year?
Look, initially when we started this business, obviously the market has grown to be much more competitive since we started this business back in 2021. This is the first year we start delivering our cars, and our initial expectations was not as high. We were expecting around 70 to 80,000 delivery for the entire 2024. But as you can see from our call last night, we've been talking about 100,000 to 120,000 units for this year, right? And obviously, EV is still very much a scale business. If you have a bigger scale, you can amortize your fixed costs more efficiently, number one. So once you have now that we have a bigger delivering target for this year.
What is that, sorry? The new delivery target?
100,000 to 120,000.
Okay.
So that allows us to amortize our fixed costs more efficiently, number one. Number two is, and we mentioned that in our call last night as well, is the suppliers have been really, really good to us. They were able to work with us and offer us the best prices that is available in the market, despite our scale was not as big as many of our peers. So that also helped us in terms of lowering our BOM cost. I think number three is also that when you look at our EV, you can see that we offered a lot of different fun stuff, right? We have different colors, we have different accessories that you can buy, and that obviously help us enhance our margins overall.
When you talk about scaling the EV business, obviously it means a greater investment as well in factories or production facilities. Where are you looking to build those?
Well, I think we started our factory, our first factory in Beijing right now. That has an annual capacity of, call it, 200,000 units. We obviously trying to scale that up and become more efficient. So if you look at our plans, we started double shift beginning of June, and then we have to make some changes to our productions during the course of July that help us enhance the production capacity further. So if you look at our delivery right now, we are over 10,000 vehicles that we delivered per month in June and in July, most likely in August as well. So we've been able to scale our production facility as well as our delivery capabilities.
And something else that was mentioned in the earnings call was this goal for global expansion. So what's the timeline around that, do you think?
Right now, we don't have a concrete plan at this point. I think we are very much focused on the large opportunities in China right now. Right, as you can see, we have a huge backlog of orders that we need to fulfill at this point. At the same time, the stated goal for our EV business is to become top 5 globally in 10 to 15 years' time. In 15 to 20 years' time. So we do have the global expansion in mind, although right now we are still trying to fulfill all the demand that, from the customers in China at this point. And once we have more concrete plan, we definitely will tell the market about our plans.
I do need to ask, though, how you're factoring in the risk of tariffs, particularly in the EU, because we've seen these levies. They do seem like they're on the way. And if you don't have that manufacturing presence in Europe, it seems like you could attract an extra duty on your vehicles. Are you looking to establish in Europe?
Not at this point. Again, I think when we decide to go global, we'll look at each market very carefully in terms of what we need to do to satisfy the demand from the regulators as well as the customers in those markets. So right now we aren't looking to set up new production facilities overseas, but if and when we decided to go global, I think we need to look at the market dynamics in each market before we decide to make those investments.
What about the product range? Because there is a lot of hype around this and a lot of anticipation for what kind of product. We've spoken with different analysts, and some people will say that really the only growth area for EVs right now in China is the extended range electric vehicles that can travel up to 1,000 kilometers or 600 miles on a single charge. Is this a category that you're considering?
Well, look, I'm not here to talk about our future products at this point. You see that we have one SKU so far, but we have three variants of that SKU, mainly the standard version for SU7, the Pro version, and the Max version. In a couple of months ago, our chairman also showcased a even powerful version of our SU7, which is the Ultra version, which we're looking to mass produce that next year. But in terms of the future product range, we won't talk about it until we unveil those. But it's fair to say that even for that pure electric sedans that we have launched, if you can see some numbers, we are probably, in July, we're probably the best-selling pure electric sedans in China already. So we still see some potentials in this market. Of course, people have different views, and you need to cover the different product range as well. But that's not what we are prepared to talk about at this point in time.
Okay, let's talk about something you might want to talk about, and that's smartphone sales, because you've managed to grow your market share overseas and also in China. But it has, of course, been a very competitive environment, and that did put some pressure on your margins.
Right. Well, look, this is the 16th consecutive quarter whereby we're number 3 globally. We have a 14.5 to 15% market share for this quarter. That put us even closer to number 2 and extended our gap with the number 4 players. So we are inching closer. We've been able to increase our market share this year despite the very competitive market, as you mentioned. If you look at our shipment for the first half of this year, we have, increased our shipment by more than 19 million units from last year. So we've been able to gain market share despite an overall relatively flattish market. But obviously, as we extend our offerings, as we extend the reach into places like Africa, Latin America, Middle East, that will put some pressure on our ASP. And because we need to be more competitive, we became number 2 in Latin America for the first time ever in our history. We have been number 2 in the Middle East for the last couple of quarters, and this quarter we managed to get our market share in Southeast Asia to number 2. So what we've been able to do is to extend our market share. Obviously, that increased competitions will, we have to make some sacrifices with our gross margin, plus the fact that the component cost in the market has been growing up. We
just were showing some footage of the Mix Flip phone. Talk to us about that and how it fits into the premiumization strategy that you're following in China. How successful have you been at luring shoppers away from Apple?
Well, look, if you look at the first EV we launched, we believe that close to 50% of the drivers right now are female, which is a demographics that historically Xiaomi have not been able to target. The flip phone is also an extension of that. If you look at the number of users using that flip phone, over 60% of the users are female, based on our numbers. So that has made a successful inroad for us into a demographics that Xiaomi historically haven't been able to reach out or target. And that helped us extend our, increase our market range, extend our user base.
What would be your plan, because in the earnings call, again, it was mentioned that Xiaomi thinks it can do better in that 10,000 plus RMB range for its phones. So what's the approach here?
I think we're still quite early, right? I think the flip phone is the first one that is the first model in this category that we launched ever. I think, as we mentioned last night as well, I think we have made very successful inroads in the 3,000 to 6,000 range. This year, with the successful launch of our Ultra product as well as our Flip product, we have been able to extend that even to the 6,000 plus range. The 10,000 plus range is what we need to do much better, right? We started offering this new foldable phone. This is the fourth foldable phone that we've launched in our history, and that has been receiving a good reception. But we need to do a lot more work on that front. I think also the international strategy. The Flip phone is the first foldable phone that we offered outside of China. So you can see that in Hong Kong. You can see that, and it's been selling and selling well, and people like it.
I do need to ask about cash pile, because your reserves have been growing. I think they're up nearly 25% on the year. How does that influence your thinking around your share buyback program, and would you be looking to increase that at all?
Well, look, we had around 140 billion of cash in RMB terms on our balance sheet as of the end of June. We've been quite active in buying back shares in the market. This year, in the first half of this year, we've bought back 3.7 billion Hong Kong dollars in terms of stock in the market, which is more than what we did for the entire 2023. The board has given us authorizations to buy back 10 billion Hong Kong dollars in stocks every year, and we'll be looking for the right market opportunity to execute those buyback. But at the same time, I think that EV, and other new initiatives, we see a lot of potentials for investing in those areas. So hopefully, we balance the whole, return on investments for those cash.